5 years, man. That's delayed gratification.
That's 5 years.
People, I meet people who can't stick it out. Well, that story can't even stick it out for 5 months. Yeah. Right. So to do that for 5 years and stick it out, and remain passionate about it, because that's what's hard. Like, it's easy to be passionate in the first 6 to 12 months, right? But when then shit gets hard, people tend to give up.
Correct.
And unfortunately, the majority of people tend to give up.
Yeah,
right? And I've been around it,
of
right?
course.
People have come and go throughout my business life, and some of them have stuck it out, but I'm a small minority because they are the champions, right?
Correct.
The champions are a small minority out of the losers.
Correct.
Right? And the losers are the ones that give up.
Yeah.
Because the champions, what I'm saying is they haven't won yet. They're still going. Like, I feel like I'm still going.
Oh, and you're going to, because you've got that entrepreneur's mindset at the same time.
That's right.
Too.
I'm never going to give up.
This is a good thing to say too. For to really exercise delayed gratification, you got to want to have goals. Fuck, like you really want to be an ambition.
You got to know what you want.
Exactly, you got to know what you want. You got to have some form of ambition to really exercise delayed gratification, because otherwise you really are in it for the quick buck, the
short term,
the short term gain, which is really only it's like a quick diet where you fuck up and you hate life after at the same time.
And like almost statistically, you need to spend at least a quarter of your whole vision looking long term. You can't just kind of look at it and then touch base on it in the next, 3-4 weeks or something like that. It needs to be something that every day you continue to remind yourself of the end goal, whatever.
Big picture, bigger picture.
Correct.
So
correct.
It's look, from my experience as well with the clothing company G'd Up, taught me some of the greatest lessons, and forever grateful about those lessons as well. But it's just, in my time that I was there, for me, it didn't quite work. But still, I don't look back and go, it didn't work. No, not at all. It worked.
Mark, do me a huge favour. Tell me the biggest lesson you learned out of all of it.
The biggest lesson I learned.
Because that's a big question. Because I know you learn a lot there, but there's got to be one that's gone, fuck, that one really hit home. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you what the biggest lesson was, and it actually ties in real well today, is persistence.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Of course.
Is,
I saw that post up today.
Yeah.
Did they put up on their social surrounding three kids that had no fucking clue what they were doing or what world they were getting into and all sorts of stuff. But they persisted and gone through, and now it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And that's essentially a good reason as to why I've been employed by Luxland. Through persistence and stuff that we spoke about last week. Like almost going without food for a week on week.
And look where it's led you to. Look at where it's led you to, because the reason why you were so attractive to this position in Luxland originally was because of your persistence. Like, you knew nothing about property. You know what I mean? Like, now, obviously those habits have shown through.
Brought you to where you need to be for it.
That's right. Correct. And the problem with people these days, and I'm not even going to say it's the generation. It's people in general.
Yeah.
They live for today, right? They get into work and they go, I've got I'm thinking about leaving my job.
Yeah.
Well, why? You've only been there 6 months.
Yeah.
I've seen something else that I like that it pays a little bit more money, and it's like, hang on a second, right? You haven't even done a year at your job yet, right? At least stick it out, show some loyalty, and see where it takes you, right? And people just become impatient.
Correct.
That's the problem. People become impatient. They want the results now. Like, back in the day, people would work in the same job for 30 years.
Correct.
Right? And I'm not saying that that's the true meaning of success or anything like that, but people stuck things out a lot longer because now we're going to touch on social media again, but social media has taught us that we need to have our things now, right?
Oh, you have to,
because everyone else on social media has their things now.
Hey, if you want to talk social media as well, delayed gratification is a huge thing on that. If you try to do the shortcuts and get the quick term gain on followers and all sort of stuff, you get caught out real quick.
That's right.
But you get the people with all these massive followings, and everyone wants to be a social media superstar now, right? Because especially even for businesses and on being an entrepreneur, the best way for you to sell your skills is social media. It is, because you can get the furthest reach at the quickest rate at the same time too. Yep. But if you need to gain traction and do it properly, you got to do it the right way.
Mate, that's a great point, Chris, because another thing that's quite similar to that is with study. So people who are listening to this who are students, right? Now, I'm guilty of it, right? I used to be a fiend for instant gratification. This is what I used to do. I was a great networker when I was a kid, right? Like I was shit at school, but I was a great networker. I was good at making friends and all of that sort of thing. So what I would do is I would date girls who could do my assignments for me, right? So I would date girls and I'd say, look, can you do this assignment, right? And then they would bring me the paper and I'd put my name on the front cover and I'd hand it in and I'd, get A+, right? But then I would have to sit and do the exam.
Yeah,
right?
Yes. Wow, that's a really
And I would fail the exam.
Yeah, exactly.
So my solution for that was to sit next to someone who I could trust that they would have the right answer, and then I would copy off them, right?
Right.
But then what happens when I've got to move up another semester and progress into a subject that requires
of course.
that, right? And then you're in a classroom full of boys.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've got no one to date anymore. No. Right? Yeah. So what happens then? I struggle.
Yeah.
Right? Because I didn't learn it.
Yeah.
That was the whole point of that story.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
So
this is a school of struggle. So
I struggled through, say, my later years of studying in college and uni because, I shortcutted my way through.
Yep.
Right? So that instant gratification, I got the grades, right? But did it do anything for me long term? No. I probably still don't know the stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it the long road is always the best road.
And for business and every life.
If you're looking for a fulfilled business relationship with your customers and all the stuff as well, because if you're going for quick term gain, you're going to piss them off too. You know what I mean? Like they're going to notice it, and you're going to get you're going to lose.
You can't take shortcuts.
No, you can't.
And now, like I've done a complete 180 now, and I don't want people to think that I'm a cheater or anything like that, because I was just trying to do what I had to do to get through. You know what I mean? But
at that time, but you grew and you learned from it.
That's right. And I know now that that's not the right way to either do business or even conduct your life, right? Because shortcuts they just won't get you anywhere.
Correct.
You don't teach yourself anything. You don't learn anything for the long term, and it's just beneficial to get in and get your hands dirty from the very beginning. And you know what it is? The key word here is foundation.
Yeah.
Building yourself a foundation
you can build off.
That's right. So you can apply it to every other single thing in your life.
Of course. And something else I want to add to that as well is you need to also, in my eyes, add at least a level on where you want to be. So let's say you've got a 5-year plan. You say, okay, in 5 years I'm going to, let's just use business as an example. Yep. I'm going to start this business. We're going to sell this and sell that. If the tide turns a little bit and we can't do a certain thing, well, sell certain products because the market doesn't want it at the time.
Yep.
Okay, we've got a backup plan. Like, obviously, it's like a business plan, right? But a more general business plan to say, okay, if we get to $1 million...
There's a couple there, yeah.
If we get to $1 million a year, okay, our revenue is $1 million a year, then we're going to go and sell the product. Or we're going to then sit down and reevaluate the next 5 years ahead of that. It's the analogy I always use, know where you're going before you lift off.
Correct.
Right? So you're either going to go to the moon or Mars.
Have an idea of the end goal.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Your end goal's probably going to change anyway.
Yeah, of course.
It probably is. But just have something in place so you can go, fuck, I just want to go there.
Achieve.
It gives you direction.
Exactly.
It gives you direction. It gives you a purpose to delay the gratification.
Correct.
And the thing is, I get a lot of clients coming up to me going, Zah, my missus doesn't agree with buying a property, right?
Yeah.
And I go, why? And they go, well, they want to spend money on other things, like things that are like give you instant gratification.
Yeah, handbags.
Right? Yeah, like it could be anything from a wedding to just everyday expenses, whatever, right? A holiday, whatever. That's not going to really return them anything.
Correct.
Besides instant gratification. And I just say to them, I say, look, you've got to, if you don't teach yourself delayed gratification now, you will never get ahead later on. And that applies to everything.
I agree.
Fitness,
Hey,
everything.
It's funny you said that with the holiday too, though, right? But you can think of that in a different perspective at the same time too. Like giving up money now for the delayed gratification of having a holiday in a year's time.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like that's a big thing for some people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People don't have a business mindset because they don't care. They're not looking to start a business, but they can implement this process
Of course.
by putting money away or starting to plan all to the stuff for a holiday in a year's time. The gratification is you get to go on the fucking holiday.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the best. You know what I mean? Like
100%.
I don't know what a holiday is, but I think they're good. Man.
Look, we've got people very close to us who don't have the business mindset at
Correct.
all, and they're happy, right? They're happy with.
I think that's why I'm trying to open this up to a perspective that everyone can understand.
Yeah,
too, you know what I mean?
and look, they're happy, they're fine. But let's not forget, this podcast is not for those people.
No, it's not.
Right?
Exactly right.
This podcast is for successful people. So if there are people out there saying, oh, like I'm happy with doing what I'm doing, then that's cool. We're not looking down on those people, right?
Not at all.
But this podcast is not for you. This podcast is for people who want to succeed, who want to drive for results in their life.
In whatever space that is.
And whatever space that is.
Correct.
That could be fitness, that could be marriage, like
Whatever
in terms
it
of
is.
relationships, that could be business, like or their jobs or their careers.
Yeah, exactly.
So this stuff, all these struggles that we talk of can all be applied to all of those things to succeed, right?
Correct.
So, getting back on track with the people that are close to us that enjoy the instant gratification, what's going to happen to those people, ultimately, what is going to happen to them is that in 10, 15, 20, 30 years' time, they're going to regret everything that they're doing.
I agree.
I'm telling you now, it's much easier. It's a much easier life when you've made those better decisions early on.
When you've built the foundation.
That's right.
And built a house off that, right?
That's right.
Like that's going to be the best way to do it.
That's right.
Hands down, couldn't agree more. You know what I mean? For me, in the space of delayed gratification at the same time too, I've got a little bit of a strategy that I think that can keep people on track at the same time too, and I think it might be something that you guys can either agree with or change your minds on all to the stuff as well. But a little bit into what you said, Mark, is have the goal in mind at first. Know where you want to be. You know what I mean? If it's a 5-year goal, that's great. If it's a 1-year goal, that's great. If it's a 6-month goal, doesn't matter as long as you've got that put in place. Set some milestones. And look at the end goal and work backwards to work out what those milestones are going to be. You know what I mean?
Because that's something I can tell you from experience I hadn't done.
Yeah.
And that didn't bite me in the ass or anything, but when you've got no direction, you start to float.
Exactly.
You flounder.
Exactly. And
you flounder.
The whole point of having the milestones is you know that you're getting there.
Yeah.
But one thing that I really, really, really like, and this is something I've started to exercise myself because I haven't done it in the past few years, but I'm starting to now. Every time you hit a fucking milestone, reward yourself.
Yep.
In some way, shape,
Keeps
or
you
form.
motivated.
Keeps you motivated. Keeps you going towards that end goal. It might be delayed gratification, but you're getting a little spike of it along the way every time. You know what I mean? Like it's like an adrenaline rush every time you get to a milestone, because then you're going to want to get to the next one. I think that's a great strategy that I've used.
Very important.
If you guys have any others yourself, please open up. You know what I mean?
We do the same. Like if I probably don't do it enough, to be honest with you, because I'm very hard on myself.
I'm the same.
Yeah,
I'm the same, and this is why I've started to implement it, or trying to implement it anyway. Like I was speaking last week in almost internal dialogue, and I think I put an Insta story up about it saying, I'm the hardest person on myself because I care about what I want to do. And
You're
where
critical.
I want to be. I'm super critical. And the people I have around me, like especially you two, you help criticize and point those flaws out at the same time to help better me. And I do the same to you guys too, you know what I mean? Because
we just like talking shit about you.
Well, of course. Exactly right. But I give it back to you, so it's all good.
But I completely agree, and I
Yeah.
don't do it enough. And I think for the advice for people listening to this podcast, I think by setting those milestones that you've just outlined, but at the same time rewarding yourself at each of those milestones. You're not going crazy and blowing all your savings on yourself, but also just a little win. You know what I mean? A little celebration to keep you going. Because there have been times where I haven't done that, and what's happened? Years have gone by, and I've just gone, I'm just burnt out. I'm over this. Right, I'm just over this. I just want to eat ice cream every day. You know what I mean? So it's important to that's why we have the cheat days.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a milestone.
That's right.
That's a milestone.
That's right.
You know who's really good at this, and it's someone that I always saw. Is a friend of yours, Menace.
Yep.
He has a goal for each week in his fitness. You know what I mean? He wants to lose
he gets results.
That's what I mean. He always puts it down to the gram. I mean, I want to lose.
He's obsessed.
1 kilo and 200 grams of body fat this week. You know what I mean? Then he goes, if I do that, I can go hang out with Donut Bay. Do you remember Donut Bay?